Hello Stargazers, Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for your horoscope report for the upcoming Aries full moon that happens on October 1st. And oh my God, Aries yet again. You know, this has just been relentless, which is kind of a good word for Aries the warrior. And as many of you may know who've been watching my videos, or pretty much any astrologer's videos, Mars entered Aries, which is its own sign. Whenever a planet's in its own sign, it's so strong. It entered Aries a couple months ago, where it will remain through till December. Okay, so we're experiencing heightened Aries energy, which is to say the archetype of the warrior. It deals with conflict. It deals with mega stress. And that's just looking at Aries plainly whenever it enters this sign. But of course, it strengthens so much because it's in a square aspect, a hard angle, a 90-degree angle to Saturn. And Saturn's also in its own sign of Capricorn. They're both cardinal signs. And this square between Mars, the lesser malefic, and Saturn, the greater malefic, the two big batties of the sky, so to speak, are in a direct face-off with each other. So we're feeling tight, we're feeling tense, we're feeling restricted. You know, people are a little bit more on edge, generalizing here, but the energy is ramped up and people are sick of things. Even today, my wife and I were getting a delivery, and it was a food delivery service, and we were getting a bunch of big jugs of water, and the delivery guy, we looked down from the balcony, and we could see him. He was just fuming. He was throwing our water bottles around. He was cursing. He looked possessed almost. And we're like, oh, great. Here he is, infusing his bad juju into our water. So we had to, when we finally got it, he was so stressed out, it took him a while, that we had to, do a little ceremony and bless the water and energetically cleanse it because he had tainted it basically with his anger. And that's actually been scientifically proven by that gentleman out of Japan. I think his name is Mashimoto, where he scientifically proved that positive thoughts positively affect water. Conversely, negative thoughts made the water look bad, the water crystals underneath a microscope. Very compelling evidence that consciousness affects matter. And we take that, extend that out on the world stage. You have all these groups of people coming together. They're sick of things, and rightfully so, but they're not dealing with this anger in an evolved way. They're just kind of spewing it around. And it's feeding into other people's anger, and it's getting stronger, and it's creating kind of this group energy, this group emotion of very martial rage. And of course, the feeling of Saturn in the mix adds some heaviness, some oppression there. You also have Pluto next to Saturn. Pluto, the planet of wounding, calling for us to transform. All our uncomfortable stuff coming to the surface, all our lifetimes of crap coming to the surface, where we've lived in a system that's really not in our best interest, and people have had enough, and they're putting their foot down. Some more destructively and chaotically than others, which is not the more evolved approach. We don't want to damage or hurt anything or anyone else, of course. But it's reached such a fever pitch, such a high level of volatility that it's becoming quite destructive. The combination of Saturn and Mars coming into interaction with each other, especially through the square, kind of feels like an arid, dry heat, which of course is a really good environment to have fires, spread. And of course, at least in the U.S., we've been having, the West Coast has just been getting crushed by fires. People can barely breathe. And I've seen some pictures out of like San Francisco, for example, that almost look post-apocalyptic. They looked very orange, very red, almost like if you were on Mars. Okay, so this is this dry heat. People are feeling it. They're feeling the friction. Now, we're talking about a lot about what we're seeing out on the world's big stage, all that volatility. This is fueled also by the fact that Eris is also in Aries, Eris is an asteroid. And the symbolism behind Eris is very fierce forms of competition that stem from this sort of dog-eat-dog world. And that is really accelerated here. Eris is in exact conjunction with Mars right now. And here it is, Mars in retrograde, coming into that second of 3 squares into Saturn simultaneously next to Eris. So what do we do with this energy? How can we use it for our betterment? How can we put our personal growth and evolution into hyperdrive? It's trying to help us, well, first of all, on the large scale of things, it's all part of the overarching theme of 2020 of the crumbling of old, outdated structures before we can build the new. All the mechanisms of control are starting to fall apart at the seams as everybody realizes their pure insanity and their ego-driven greed and materialism and hunger for power. And that's hit such a peak level that, people have had enough. And so that's really what's going on here. And it really stems from basically class warfare, the 1% of the 1% out there, just the handful of families on the planet that control most of the wealth and power are doing everything they can to get more of it, So, of course, the income gap inequality is getting wider and wider. So this is why, one of the root causes, anyways, of why we're seeing what we're seeing. But what do we do with this energy? How can we work with it proactively? Well, we want to tap into the warrior energy in a more evolved way. What are virtues associated with the warrior that are amazing? Bravery, courage, strength, good under pressure, the hero archetype. And bring in the Saturn, the maturity, with the fortitude, We can steel ourselves to do the right thing, to show up, to have a backbone, to help other people who can't defend themselves. Just kind of riffing on the fire energy a little bit longer. A beautiful example of that would be firefighters. There's right in the word, fighter. That's Aries too. And these guys are incredibly brave. And what do? They want to protect the defenseless. They want to save people's homes and livelihoods and lives. So they give of themselves in this very honorable profession. And, a lot of those firefighters probably have the karma of in past lives being literal warriors. In previous lives they were, perhaps killing other people. In this life they're killing fires. And they're sacrificing themselves. And it's like, how sad is it when one of them, it's like you hear the story of the team of firefighters who get overwhelmed by the fire and they end up dying. It's like one of the saddest stories you can hear. They make movies out of that thing. And that's because we look up to firefighters. They represent this highest octave expression of Mars energy. And that's what we're trying to tap into a little bit. And the best way to do that, not the easy way to do that, but the best way to do that is to face your fears, to evoke courage. So stand up for yourself, stand up for other people, but do it in this place of peace. This is me. I am strong and I will not be crippled in the face of all this chaos. I will rise to the challenge and always have an optimistic hope for a better future. And then also Saturn and Mars has this builder energy to it as well, where we can accomplish a great work if we're tenacious enough. And really the great work sitting before humanity right now is the creation of a better future after all the dust settles. So I think we're all a little bit sick of Mars in Aries. It's been a bumpy ride. And we're about halfway through this transition. Again, second of the 3 squares to Saturn. And this is the energy at its maximum, pulse, the crescendo of this energy. And, September's been rough. It's super rough right now. This is the most tense, probably week or two of the entire year, believe it or not. It's been a crazy year already. But it's like we're almost there. We just got to get through October. Of course, November and December will have their own level of craziness, but it won't be like as high. This is really, in my opinion, the plateau. And also in October, we have another event, this prolonged, ongoing opposition between Mercury and Uranus. And so that's running alongside with all this Mars-Saturn stuff. So Uranus, the god of earthquakes and lightning bolts, okay? Just talking about fires, lightning bolts, create a lot of fires. There's a kind of the connection between the two there, at least with the imagery. I actually got caught in a lightning storm once where there was like 2,000 or 3,000 strikes over the course of a day, and I got caught literally in the middle of it, hiking at a high elevation. It was not the place you want to be in a lightning storm. And it just created fires all around us. It was the most surreal thing probably I've experienced. Anyhow, and here this planet of earthquakes and lightning bolts in this opposition to Mercury. And Mercury deals with communication. It deals with transportation. So really, that's the classic interpretation of in astrology to Uranus opposite Mercury is kind of, breakdowns in those systems, communication, transportation. It's a little bit of a fortune teller thing to say, but I suppose worth putting on the table. From the evolutionary perspective, Uranus is really the planet represents the process of individuation, which basically means becoming a truer version of ourselves. We have this combination of nature and nurture within us, the part of us that's our real, true, divine essence that's been evolving over lifetimes, and then the part of us that's just learned behavior from culture and family. So the process of individuation is becoming more in alignment with who we really are. And here it is in this aspect to Mercury, as I was saying, communication, but it also deals with our thoughts. It deals with our perception of reality. It's linked to the subconscious mind. So we need some lightning bolts and earthquakes in terms of what we perceive. Okay? And really, this is tied right into the overarching theme here of the nodes of the moon in Sagittarius and Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. Okay, so here it is lighting up that nodal axis, of course. And a lot of this war energy we've been experiencing with Mars is also fused into the nodes, where it's a war of ideologies, a war of ideas. The world is drunk on religion, and what I mean by religion is just belief systems. Could be about God, could be about being a Democrat or a Republican or a materialist or a cynic. It's like everybody's got their position papers armed and ready at the guard, just ready to tell you everything that they believe. And of course, they're talking to brick walls because everybody is doing the same thing to each other. So the war of ideas, as we're drunk on anger, that's the understanding of the nodes of the moon. I actually just did a video on that about a week ago, where I go in depth about the transiting nodes from the evolutionary astrology perspective. That's about the collective karma. And if you want to find that video, you can just, type into the search collective karma or my name. I'm sure it'll come right up. So this war on ideas. So we're wanting to more deeply individuate, that's Uranus, okay, in terms of how we perceive reality. That's the interaction between the two. And since it's an opposition, which is a hard aspect, it causes more tension between these planets. It's not bad, it's just a little bit more difficult. Oppositions aren't bad. They just are a little bit more in our face, especially with all this violent energy of Mars and Saturn. So, just tying these threads together, it's like, well, come up with two different examples here. Imagine you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you're 6 inches taller than you were the day before. And you're shocked. You're stunned. You don't know what to think. It's like, do I believe what I've believed my whole life, or do I believe what my eyes are looking at right now? So it's like cognitive dissonance time. That's October. We're getting rattled by information that, doesn't fit into our belief systems. So imagine there's a guy, maybe 24, 26 years old. And he's going onto one of those ancestry sites where you can do DNA tests and find out, who you're connected to and lineage and whatnot. And he does the DNA test. And he discovers something rather startling and rattling. And that is, he's not connected to his cousins at all in any way, the cousins on his father's side. And actually, he looks at, the breakdown of what culture he's from based on his DNA, and it has nothing to do with where his father's from. And he is in a situation where, this doesn't make any sense. The date is there right in front of him, but it flies in the face of what he's always believed and been told, trained to believe. And he confronts his mother and his father about it. And there's tears, there's breakdown, and they basically share with him that the father he thought was his father was not his real father at all. And here this guy is stunned, shocked, in a state of disbelief. And eventually, once that shock, wears off a little bit, he starts to think about his past, and he starts to feel angry. He starts to feel enraged. Not because, his mom, who knows what the backstory is, whether she slept with somebody else or something. Well, obviously she did, but come up with a zillion stories. It wasn't necessarily that. It was that he was basically lied to his entire life on purpose. And it wasn't until he had scientific proof that they came clean. And he became so angry. There's the Mars piece. Obviously, the Mercury Uranus is about this shocking revelation, let's say. And then all this anger, all this wounding from his childhood that stemmed from all the rejection, betrayal, and abandonment he's experienced in the various areas of his life bubbles to the surface because, this major event, traumatic event, stimulates with those wounds. There's the Pluto. Pluto represents our wounding and then the process of healing those wounds. And this person's life is never the same. And this is actually a pretty common story, There's many people that never get over this sort of thing. You feel how that story kind of resonates with what we're feeling now? How we're going to learn some things, I believe, especially in October, that's going to anger us even more. That's going to be shocking revelations. We didn't see it coming. Cognitive dissonance. I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe my ears. And then it turns into more anger. If we don't understand what's going on astrologically, of course, that awareness of what's happening with the music of the spheres, and the music feels a lot like death metal right now. It's not Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, okay? But with that awareness, we can work with this to not only keep our sanity, but to help us evolve. And this, helps us to tie into this overarching karmic medicine. I talk about the Gemini North Node again because it's, lit up right now by Mercury opposite Uranus. It's like having a clear perception of reality. Whatever I believe to reality to be, it's not quite that. I'm open to be stretched. Okay? And a lot of people, I believe, will be stretched, especially over the next month. Okay? But many people, since we're in this war of ideas, that's going to just bring them to their knees because here they are fervently fighting for what they believe, and then what they recognize that they believe isn't even true. And there's some people that will stay firmly in that and will refuse and just be in utter denial. That's fine. But how can we work with it? It's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Didn't see that coming. So expect the unexpected. That phrase doesn't make any sense, but it resonates with this month. Meanwhile, there's all this anger and fighting. So allowing yourself to be open, okay, to whatever comes. Meanwhile, if there's anything you're afraid of in your life, and it's really helpful to know your birth chart as a whole. Also know where the Mars, the Saturn, the Uranus, and all these planets are rotating through your chart. See what houses they're in. See what areas of your life you're likely to feel these energies the most. But the core, bottom line evolutionary intention is the same. We're attempting to become more mature and wise. That's Saturn. More brave and strong. That's Mars. And then as our perception of reality gets shocked with some truth, we get in alignment with that truth, and then in turn we more individuate, okay? Because the process of individuation is becoming a truer version of yourself, who you really are, and shedding some of that cultural, familial glop about what you've been trained to think, feel, and believe. And the more you do that, the more you individuate. Now, that's on a more personal, inward level. We attempt to become stronger as we individuate and perceive reality more clearly. But also to accelerate the evolutionary process. I mean, often I ask myself, am I growing and am I giving? And I think the more I grow, the more I give, the more I evolve. That's just kind of the way I think about it. And I find those to be pretty useful questions, and can keep me aimed in the right direction in my own journey. Now, am I growing? We can connect that to what I was just talking about, those virtues we're trying to embody more deeply as we strive for the highest potentials of these archetypal energies. But am I giving? How can we work with this energy in a more external way? By being strong, okay? In immovable force, that's kind of the positive way of looking at Saturn, Mars. I am a mountain, and being strong in what we think and believe. Yes, okay. Belief's not necessarily a bad thing unless we're drunk on that religion, that belief system, and think that is the absolute one truth, which of course isn't true. But helping others to not try to achieve something, but just share what you believe and help. There will be probably some people in your life, most of which will be, everything you're saying will be on deaf ears. But there may be some people where you can share, your truth. And this is touchy though. What you don't want to get caught in the trap of is trying to convince other people. Again, when people are drunk on religion, drunk on anger, that's just not going to work. It's just going to fuel the fire. So we don't want any ego-centered attachment to what we believe. But there may be some things you can share out there about what you believe to be true, what's really going on here. And it might give people little bumps, little shifts in their perception. And maybe they say, oh, that rings true with them. They have a realization. They have a light bulb moment. They start to see things in a very slightly different way. And maybe they take different actions in their life for the betterment of themselves and other people. And those little tiny micro transactions or actions, if you will ripple out and have an effect on other people. It's just us trying to throw those tiny little pebbles into the nice placid lake and then see the ripples go out from it. So that's how we can work with this energy. It's like, how can we spread a clearer perception of reality? Okay. But from the place of what I'm saying could be absolutely and completely wrong, but here's what I believe, But, verbal jousting and mental mind wars is absolutely not not going to work here. It's just going to cause more stress probably in yourself. And during this time, people are just touchier. They go on the offense quicker. They go on the defense quicker. They got an itchy trigger finger. So just be aware of that. And with the spirit of compassion for the human condition and the energy we're experiencing now, just put your truth out there, your perception of reality, because ultimately Mercury is the planet of communication and exchange of ideas, and present your own, let's say, Uranian view on things. Uranus is kind of the planet of weird and strangeness. And if you're watching astrology videos, you probably got a strong Uranus in your chart, or Aquarius, and your beliefs and how you see reality is much, let's say, outside the more mainstream than a so-called normal person, and learning to be okay with that and sharing that with bravery and strength, but not with egoic force. So that's how you can give with this energy and put it out there. And if nobody accepts it, fine, no love lost, move on to the next person, move on to the next thing, and just be comfortable in being yourself. If you like me, that's great. If not, that's interesting. And really, that's the core evolutionary intention now, with the goal always being to expand our consciousness. Now, that's the astrological perspective on this from my take. And now we're going to be able to do a meditation now. It's been a while since I did one, so I'm really excited. As usual, put on headphones for best results, because that'll help you to get into a nice meditative state. And this meditation is aimed at balancing out the three energy bodies, okay, and also focusing on the subconscious area so that we can become more conscious of all our thoughts, actions, and feelings, instead of just sleepwalking through life and being 80% subconscious like most of the planet is. So have fun and enjoy. Thank you. Sit in a nice, comfortable position with a nice, straight spine. You want the spine to be straight. It's the main energy channel of the body. And just relax and begin focusing on your breath. Breathe nice and slow into the belly. And immediately exhale nice and slow, first from the belly, then the lungs. And then inhale into the belly, then the lungs. Always belly first. Deep, rhythmic, controlled breathing. And just do a 4 count. 4 count per inhale. 4 count per exhale. And if you can do even slower, to a 6 count, that's even better. But don't push yourself. You don't want to be short of breath. Just nice and easy. In, out. Now bring your awareness down to both of your feet and begin to visualize a bluish color in your feet, in and around your feet, like a sky blue color. And see that color go higher up into both of your ankles. Now up into your calves, knees, and now into the thighs, and into the hips. And now see both of your legs in this sky bluish light. Without taking your attention away from your legs, expand your awareness into your abdomen. And see this bluish light in your abdomen as well. Each time you inhale, the blue color grows stronger and stronger. And with each exhale, you see the sky blue color ripple out in all directions in your body. Keep the 4-count breath, the rhythmic breathing as you visualize the color in your belly. If you can, keep your awareness on your legs as well. And now extend this blue light color throughout in your entire body and see it glow. Now bring your attention in the center of the solar plexus and see an emerald green light, like a round and shining jewel in your solar plexus. And see it glimmer. And with each inhale, you see the glimmer get stronger. A beautiful emerald green jewel in your solar plexus. Now move up to the chest area and see a ball of rosy light in your chest. And you breathe deeply and you see the rosy light grow in intensity and expands. And you begin to see this rosy color expand into your shoulders and into your arms. Relaxing all your emotions. Connecting deeply to your emotional body. Simultaneously, continue to see your legs glow in a blue light. Now move your attention up to the throat area and the thyroid. And now see a ball of orange light in your thyroid. The same color as the fruit orange and about the same size too. With each inhale, you see this orange light get stronger. And with each exhale, you see it remain with that light intensity. Inhale, exhale. Now, move up to the head area and see a golden light emanating from your head, in and around your head, like a golden sun, so bright it's blinding. And feel all your thoughts and intentions begin to relax as you feed into this creative center of your body. See this golden color shine out in all directions with each breath. growing brighter and brighter. Now feel your entire body and breathe deeply. Your head glows in a golden gleam. Your shoulders, arms, and chest in a rosy light. Your legs and abdomen in a blue light. And the center of your solar plexus, emerald green light. See all the colors simultaneously if you can. If you can't, it's okay. Visualization takes practice. The more you practice, the better you become. Concentrate on the colors. Now concentrate on the golden halo that extends about 6 inches around your head. And be in that halo for a little while. See that halo brighten with each breath. An extension of your own divinity and immortal nature. Now see all the colors in your body change into a brilliant snow white color. And your entire body is surrounded by a comforting white light. See this white light fuse with every cell of your body. Every cell is growing brighter, creating so much light within you. Look again to your solar plexus and see a vibrating emerald green 5-pointed star in the jewel. It's a symbol of protection. Now look into your chest and see in the center of the rosy color a golden yellow 6-pointed star has formed. And now look at the halo on your head. Has taken the shape of a golden triangle, rising up off your shoulders and enclosing your entire head. The 6-pointed star is creation in divine harmony. The 5-pointed star is the human form, balanced and healthy. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply. Breathe deeply and begin to order your subconscious by saying to yourself, I want perfect health in my body. I want order and peace. I want full control over my emotional body. I want to master my emotions and desires. I want full control over my thought body. I want only sober and constructive thoughts to rule my life. My thoughts will no longer enslave me. My emotions will no longer trouble me. and my emotional body is clean and vigorous. I am the master of my physical, emotional, and thought bodies. I feel strong and healthy in all three bodies. I am the master of my destiny. And now, before we end, just have a moment of compassion for all the beings on earth now in a state of suffering. It's not easy here to be on planet Earth. Every single soul is brave. And now we're trying to remember how brave we really are. Thank you for joining me in this meditation. Take care, and I'll see you next time.